Welcome to Lawyers Without Billboards, where we break down family law and other areas of the law. No gimmicks, no legal jargon, just real, unfiltered talk from real lawyers. Join your hosts, Steve, Patty, Jimmy, and Alexa, partners at Shewmaker Lewis, a law firm based in Atlanta, Georgia. Every episode, they tackle the legal questions that matter most: divorce, custody, child support, alimony, and everything in between. They'll pull back the curtain to give you real insights on what happens inside the courtroom and beyond.
All right.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We are back. Shewmaker and Lewis, Lawyers Without Billboards. Alexa, we still don't have a billboard, do we?
No, we still don't.
All right. I'm happy to say it.
And we're not planning on it.
That's right. Yeah. And the wonderful music on the lead-in is still from Ben Hernandez and Dragon Productions, and everything else about the podcast is still Rob Bergner and Bleeding Edge Technologies. Or Productions.
Still is and always will be.
And you change the name like every time.
Yeah,
isn't it Bleeding Edge TV?
It's just Bleeding Edge.
Just Bleeding Edge. But anyway, the topic of today is not Bleeding Edge and Rob. The topic of today is a human interest story. We did a basic...
a human interest piece.
You know, you can all kiss my butt. Okay.
I'd prefer not to.
Back in episode 14, we talked about the basics, the rudiments of mediation, which is such such an important topic in domestic and family law.
If you combine the words, the podcast is shorter.
Oh, good point.
Go
Good
ahead.
point. Less words.
As I was saying, episode 14 was the basics, the rudiments of mediation, which is such an important topic in domestic law that we're going to do a series of guest spots. This is the first one, a series of guest spots on world famous superhero mediators. So today we have our second live witness ever. He follows the great...
Our first superhero
mediator.
That's right. Are you a superhero today? Are you a Marvel or a Disney superhero today?
I'm known throughout...
Marvel or DC?
Or DC.
I'm known throughout humanity as really the best mediator in Georgia.
Okay.
That's what my mom tells me.
Let's stop there. This is Louis Tesser. And Louis is a mediator
extraordinaire
here in the Atlanta metro area, who I've known for quite a while. I refer to him as the Jewish Stanley Tucci. So
I have actually heard you say that.
Which is a great compliment, actually. But
we all very much like Stanley Tucci.
Correct.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm not talking about like Hunger
We'll
Games.
just go with that.
I'm talking about like the Pelican Brief Stanley Tucci.
No, The Devil Wears
The
Prada.
Devil Wears
That too,
Prada.
yeah.
The Devil Wears
Yeah.
Prada.
All right.
Absolutely. That's a good Stanley Tucci.
Not so much the Pope.
No, The Lovely Bones, that's a bad Stanley Tucci.
Oh, that's the worst
Okay,
Stanley
all right.
Tucci.
Yeah, we don't like creepy.
But enough about
I
Stanley
need to
Tucci.
know
Don't
more
be
about
creep-
my
don't be-
namesake, really.
yeah,
I haven't seen most of these
Don't
things.
be creepy, Louis.
Well, Louis,
Trying.
Louis, you need to not be creepy, but you also need to see more Stanley Tucci movies.
Correct.
But
It's true.
in any event, Louis Tesser, let's get to know you better. What's your favorite word?
My favorite word?
Word.
I think it just became humanity.
Humanity. All right.
But, you know,
I like it.
I'm open to sort of supercalifragilistic or whatever.
Yeah,
there you go. I
Can
mean,
you spell it? No.
I can spell my version.
Don't hurt
There you
yourself.
go.
Yeah.
What's Louis Tesser's favorite food?
I mean, I guess it would involve pesto or something. I don't really. I don't have a well-developed
so random.
personality.
Pesto?
about
It
that.
involves
Palate,
pesto?
you mean?
Yeah. Well,
Louis doesn't have a
it's so
well-developed
well-developed.
personality.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try
It's so
again.
well-developed
When
that
you wake up, like
I
on a
can't just
Wednesday,
do
and you
simple
feel
things.
like a man, what's
Yeah.
your favorite food other than pesto?
When I feel like a man,
There you go.
I feel like this is leading me down a bad path.
You're probably
Didn't
I
you,
supposed
and
to say steak.
didn't you and I have an Italian sausage eating contest at
Wow.
your house one time?
What?
I'm not that I
Out
recall.
of the grill.
Different guy.
Weren't you grilling Italian
Yes,
sausage? There
that's
you
true.
go.
That's
And-
true. I
and
don't
you-
really remember that being
mean-
a contest.
Oh yeah, because we ate them all.
Maybe that was
Okay.
Stanley's house.
All right.
Patty,
What's
I'm kind
your
of glad we missed that contest.
That was when I was
Easy.
Stanley Tucci.
okay?
I mean,
What is Louis Tesser's favorite movie?
you know, have you seen Rushmore? That used to be. I used to say that was my favorite movie. Now that is a Wes Anderson film,
Yeah, nothing.
and that is a whole genre.
Okay,
Okay.
that's it.
But that's what you
I mean,
used
that's
to say.
what I
What
used
do you
to
say
say.
now?
I now say I'm not really sure.
Oh, fair.
Yeah.
Well, what is switching gears here? What is Louis Tesser's favorite song?
I do not even know.
Is this a first date?
You know what?
It kind of
This
feels
could
like
be
a
a
first
first
date.
date.
Do Alexa and I need to step out?
Yeah, we should probably just go. I mean,
No,
Towns Van Sant. Something by him. I love him. He's great.
Does Louis Tesser play any musical instruments?
He does.
What does Louis Tesser play?
oh boy.
Let's make this into a full-blown cross-examination.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so I play acoustic guitar with your man, Dragon Song there.
Ben Hernandez.
Ben
yeah,
Hernandez.
yeah, I know it, but other people don't know that.
Yeah,
Okay, how about
yeah.
this? When did
Not
you,
everybody knows that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
When
They
did
do
you-
now.
Now,
Yeah.
I first met you when you were
Learning much.
They do
when
now.
you were a partner at the firm of Kessler, Schwartz, and Solomiyani.
Yes, or perhaps at that point it was already Kessler Solmiani, but yes.
No, it was before that.
Okay, okay.
I remember that
It's been a minute.
precipitating event, that drama, but I'm
Yes.
trying to remember. It was about 18 years ago that we first met, maybe 20.
That's plausible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
were
think that sounds about right.
And I would say you were the coolest dude at that firm because I'd call down there and I'd get people going, rah, 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 rah. And then you get on the phone and you'd be like, what's up, dude? It was like, what can I do to make your life easier?
Is
I mean-
Lewis your second longest relationship?
It might be.
I think so, yeah.
So, but you broke free of that and
You
now
know,
you mediate, right?
Right. I mean, lawyers that eventually become mediators.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably a little bit of a mellower group of people, I would say.
Well, you are mellow. But in your time, you've litigated.
Yeah,
You've done criminal defense.
I have done a certain amount of that.
And you've done jury trials in both criminal and domestic.
That is true.
Big time. So
That is
you're
true.
like a high-powered litigator.
Well, I will take that. I'll tell you this, Steve, as I mediate, I notice that there's a broad range of quality of attorneys, okay? And I will notice that a lot of the attorneys I work with just do a better job than I used to do, in my opinion. I mean, I'm occasionally very impressed.
I'm
with
waiting for
what
a
I'm
ju- I'm
seeing.
waiting
Yeah.
for a judge to say that same thing.
know,
I'll see
right,
about that.
right.
Well, let me say this before we get off too deeply into the topic because I want to keep your ass out of trouble. I believe you're
Thank you.
married to a wonderful lady, much smarter than you.
Yes.
Good
answer.
Yeah, I
Miss
am.
Lily.
She's an engineer.
That's right, an
you know?
engineer from Uzbekistan.
That's correct.
All right, so
Or-
she
or,
speaks
you know, she-
Russian,
yes.
Uzbek, English.
She speaks Russian. It's really, without making this into a political thing. I mean, she's from the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
There was essentially a Russian colony in this country.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the truth of it.
She's a
Okay.
cool lady. I like her.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's
y'all-
none of your doing.
We all
I like
like
to
Lily.
say
Just
that I,
And y'all have children.
we have children. We have 3 girls.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
All
estrogen.
that,
Yes.
with all that implies.
So you are a worldly man. You've got all kinds of things going on, but you are a mediator. So let's switch gears and talk about that.
Yeah, let's do that.
So what made you decide, hell, I'm just going to mediate from now on?
Yeah, Steve. So there was a long period of my litigational history where I sort of felt like people that mediate kind of couldn't hack it as litigators. I just sort of felt like, I had my law degree and I was getting paid these bucks and I was advocating for people and I'm kind of coming in. I'm taking this position, and Patty, go tell them this is my position and go negotiate with these other people. I'm the honcho, you're kind of the message taker or something like that. I felt like, mediation was, not that cool a thing. But, you litigate for a while and you kind of figure out that person is actually they have an interesting niche in the middle of that.
And they work hard.
they work hard.
Mediators work hard.
It's a long, hard day of work.
Well,
it
I
is
was
for
going to
sure.
say, and especially Lewis, because as chill as he may be, sometimes if you start really getting into a mediation, he comes back in the room and he's like really pushing hard. He's like, "But I swear I'm doing this in the other room as well. So like, don't get mad at me. Don't take it personal." Like,
You know?
I know, Lewis.
Now,
I know
you
you're doing your
mediate-
job.
Yeah, would you say, how many days a week would you say you mediate?
Well, I will say it's always too little or too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Fair. Feast or famine.
Fair.
Because the way it works is either I'm working on a given day or I'm not.
Right.
I don't have other stuff to do.
Right.
So, this last week was 4 mediations and
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
and I hit Friday and I didn't have anything on Friday and I was sort of like,
But other
Taking a
weeks,
nap.
if mediations fall
Sleeping in.
through, do you like go see a double feature and then you come home at 5 and you're like, oh, I've been out all day. Where's dinner, Lily?
Right. Oh, yeah, I just use it to yell at my wife, really.
Well, no, but in all seriousness, as we talked about in episode 14, mediation is a vital part of the process. The courts rely on mediation.
It's a good avenue or a good approach to reach resolution short of going to a judge.
Absolutely.
And you have control over the outcome.
Yeah.
But I want to go back because I want to talk about this because Steve, you're a mediator. Alexa and I, we are not. So we are just litigants.
I'm not as good as Louis,
Litigators.
though.
We're not litigants.
I'm not as good as Louis.
We're not litigants.
We'll go with that.
So when we go to mediation and we're representing our client, mediation for us, it kind of ebbs and flows. The day does because the mediator will be in our room and we'll be talking a lot. We'll be doing a lot of work and the mediator will leave, and we might still do a little bit more work, talk about what we might come back with next, and then we have downtime, right? And then we're telling stories, making jokes, getting some coffee, doing that. But contrast that with the mediator who's on
All
the
day.
entire time.
Yes.
And I think, Louis, weren't you mediating a case where I was the guardian ad litem
Oh, right.
a few weeks ago, and I got to kind of see this up close because as a guardian, I was traveling with the mediator during the mediation in this custody case. And I was like, this is exhausting. I need a break. Louis, you go. Because it really is, mediators really do our work. They're working hard.
Right.
And you don't necessarily see that because we get downtime.
Yeah, we see half
So
of it.
the benefit that you have as a mediator is it's 9 o'clock in the morning, you start a mediation, except in those rare cases where the mediation may go into a second or third day, which does happen, but it's not common.
Sure.
Except in those cases, come 5 or 6 o'clock that night, you're out of the case. You don't
Right.
have to do a long laundry list of things you have to do like a litigator has to do if mediation fails. That's a benefit to you. But the burden for you is that you're on the full day and in some cases 4 out of 5 days of the week, right?
That is correct. That is correct.
How do you cope,
You know-
man? Drugs, alcohol? What do you do?
Amphetamines.
I mean, I'm not going to give away the secrets of the
No
trade.
secret sauce. Not going to tell us the secret
but
sauce.
there's a lot of chemistry
He'll make it for
involved.
you later.
No.
A lot of chemistry.
There's no chemistry. Look, I enjoy it. I will say that there's sort of phases to it. I think
Yeah.
it always sort of starts out, each party just sort of has their somewhat delusional concept of
Pie
what's
in the
going
sky.
on.
Their bitch fit.
Right. And it's just, boy, you're going to be irate at the other side, and I'm representing pure good over here. And, it usually takes a while, but it's just it's sort of a nice conversation. That's how it starts, and everybody's
Sure.
kind of happy with themselves, and they sort of
Yeah.
feel confident that, this is the way we see it, and it's very plausible.
Well, now you're an older mediator. You're not. No, I don't. Okay. Everybody. I don't think everybody knows this. What is your birthday?
Well, September 20th.
Okay, of 1968.
That is correct.
Which means you and I are like within 30 days
Yeah.
born at the same time.
Yeah.
So when I'm talking to you, I'm basically talking to myself. So the bottom line is,
Generationally.
yes, generationally. The
Yeah.
bottom line is that you are you're a mediator and you work with a lot of different types of attorneys. And you've been doing this for a number of years, so you've got some experience under your belt.
That is now true. Yeah.
What are the hallmarks when you show up at a mediation, like at 9 o'clock in the morning? What are the hallmarks to you, without naming any names, that this is a low rent mediation? I'm not talking about the parties. I'm talking about the attorneys.
Awesome.
The attorneys aren't sophisticated or haven't prepared for this, and now your day is going to be harder because they haven't done diddly to prepare for this. What are the hallmarks to you when you walk in? What are the telltale signs? Because I want
this
attorneys
is-
to
No
hear.
lunch.
Stop. I want
No
attorneys to.
coffee.
Yeah, no
I want
coffee, no
attorneys
lunch.
to hear this and go,
Right.
I'm not going to be that guy.
I
So
need to
go
be
ahead.
better.
Yeah.
Well,
Tell us without names.
Again, I am usually very impressed with the lawyers. I'm
PC answer.
impressed with
I
the
know.
abilities and how
So
hard they're
politically
working,
correct.
all that good stuff. But and listen, I think it's true of almost every mediation I've ever been in to some extent, which is financial ambiguity. Let's call it.
Sure.
Like there are accounts I know he has, and we've never seen them. Of course, I mean, there are lawyers that sort of, that's just Wednesday.
That's
That's
right.
just
That's
what
the
they
norm.
do. They
Sure.
don't really care to figure
Yeah.
those things out ahead of time.
Yeah.
But I think the best lawyers usually come into it kind of going like, we are still lacking some account statements. We still haven't gotten the discovery that we need. So that's sort of just part of almost like my life is sort of what do I need to demand from the
let's
other
talk
guy?
about your pet peeves, because you're not a judge as a mediator,
Right.
and judges have their pet peeves, but
Right.
as a mediator, you have to have some pet peeves. What are your pet peeves when you come into mediation?
And it can be with the parties or with the attorneys.
Yeah, I will say that has probably evolved over time. So when you start as a mediator, you're sort of going, what's my win rate? I mean, I'd like to say that I solved every mediation all 4 of them. I think I did 2 this week. And if I sort of name names, I mean, these are tough mediations. These are tough mediations. So there was probably a point in my career where I was sort of like, we didn't resolve it, and that's because the lawyers just wouldn't let me. You know what? Cool day law. I really, my job is not to resolve the case for you. My job is to put on the table what might be the resolution.
Give us the
present that to
opportunity.
you, and if you want to take it, by all
Great.
means. But if you don't,
Okay.
And I'm not going to name names, but I will say I had one with Jimmy,
Yeah.
where I felt like he was my guy in the sense that he waited, he considered it, he got his client to compromise, and the guy on the other side. And again, I'm not going to name names, but boy, it was just kind of like, well, this is the deal, and it's as good as it's absolutely going to get. Will you do that? So at some point in my career, that would have been a bigger pet peeve to me. But I also kind of feel like, it's
So
your
you're telling me you're
it's your life
becoming
to-
more
Exactly.
you're becoming more mellow, not more demanding of attorneys and people.
Yeah, I don't think it's imperative that you settle your case.
Yeah.
I think it's
You can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
absolutely. So I think it would be sad if you don't try to get there. If you don't present something that the other guys really have to think about.
Sure.
All right. Well, let me ask you this: the Georgia Office of Dispute Resolution, kind of like the Death Star for all the mediators out there.
Okay.
They basically want a mediator like you
Yeah.
to be a trained monkey, to just communicate offers back and forth and nothing more.
Right.
I've been saying for years, even before I became a mediator myself, that I want a mediator who's going to be the opposite of what GODR says you're supposed to be. I want a mediator who's going to say, your position is too rich. It's how you going to prove that? You can't prove that up. And oh, by the way, the highest order, you're going in front of Judge so-and-so. Like
Right.
we got Judge Lyles coming in today.
Right.
You're going in front of Judge Lyles or Judge Benton or Judge Zahn, and I know that judge personally, and that ain't going to work in front of that judge. So it's time to change your course. GODR doesn't want mediators to do that. How do you feel about that?
I don't. I think you're sort of right that you can kind of have a take of this that is one where you're not supposed to evaluate anything, and you're not supposed to say what the judge might do, or you're not supposed to really give anybody the benefit of your experience. I kind of come into this. I mean, I'm just doing it for 20 years. I have a vague concept of what might happen.
Maybe just a little
Well,
bit.
but also I do want to be a little. I mean, I know I'm sounding incredibly sarcastic. I really do believe that I don't have the ability to just predict what judges do.
Oh, for sure. None of us do.
Yeah.
But there are some positions, and I'm sure you see it as a mediator, there's some positions that are just so ridiculous that people come into mediation with.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think there's a certain mentality out there that, look, I don't want to litigate, so I'm just going to mediate the case. I don't have to be kind of good at litigation to mediate. But I'll tell you this, I think that the best trial lawyers are the best mediating lawyers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They'll swing a deal because they will think on their feet. And they
Sure,
will go,
yeah.
Patty, you came in kind of saying this is your case, but as we're looking at it, I think we're both discovering that's not your strongest thing, but can you shift to this? The good ones, yeah. Yeah, I can shift, and I can sort of rethink things a little bit, and now I see what the true target is. Now I see what a true good deal would be.
What about humor? Do you use humor?
I dislike humor.
Really? You dislike it?
Immensely.
Well, not too long ago.
No, I
not too
can't.
long ago.
I'm
you
trying to be
mediated-
sarcastic. I'm trying to be funny.
And well, try
doing my
harder.
best.
Try
He's
harder.
not picking up what you're putting
Not
down.
too long ago.
Patty and I got it.
Not too long ago, you mediated a case for Tuscan Fairfield, who
Yes.
works in my office, and I came in and kind of gave a triage real quick.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, well, this and that and that. And I was like, yeah, but you need to give her more of what she wants. And he's like, why? And I said, because she had to see you naked. You remember that? And he kind of looked at me and goes, yeah, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Does humor
Boys
help?
are weird.
Yeah. I think that
I'm sure you got to read the room with humor.
absolutely. I mean, people are crying, go, ha ha ha,
Yeah.
There's
Don't
a
make a
moment
joke
for
when they're
everything.
crying.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of crying that goes on.
And that's a great point. And I'm sure that you
And that's
see
just the
it.
lawyer.
No, right.
I'm sure you see it more than we do as the litigators. The emotional roller coaster just during a day of mediation. Talk
absolutely.
about that.
Absolutely. Well, I say I work hard at a mediation, and I do. I mean, I work hard,
yeah,
and my
I saw
brain
it.
is
You do.
working, and
He
I'm
pushes, yeah.
talking to people, and I'm trying to get something going, and I'm trying to get them to understand what maybe I think would be a decent, way to proceed. But boy, you come in, your
Yeah.
kid is at stake in some way, maybe in an exaggerated way in your head, like,
Sure.
if you don't get Fridays, then you don't have a relationship with your kid anymore. I mean, there's sort of weird thinking
sure.
that you encounter, but to go through this day and
Yeah.
to maybe have somebody sitting 50 yards from you with some lawyer that's there to attack you, and you are just fighting for what you think is your life, and then you're sort of surrendering these positions. I mean, all that ever happens in mediation is you're backing off of something that you think you're entitled to. That's all you're doing all day. I mean, that's just reality.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you see clients. I mean, they come in at the beginning of the day. They're fresh. They're optimistic. They're full of hope. We're going to get this done. We're going to resolve this. And then as the day goes on, they might be crying. Sometimes you
Pissed
probably
off.
don't see this as much, but we
Right.
see it because when you're in the other room, and we can have some downtime. We might start joke or laugh, and so there's kind of peaks and valleys as the
Definitely.
day goes on. And then a lot of times when you get to that final push to get that settlement, is it hard?
It's a grumpy because to me there's sort of this initial phase where everybody's just talking about this is how we view the world and don't puncture our bubble of wisdom that we have built around reality. And then there's sort of
Our wisdom bubble.
Don't puncture our bubble of wisdom that we've created around our reality.
yeah.
I like it.
Somebody write that down.
Yeah,
brilliant.
right.
You have
I
a
mean-
pen in your hand.
I do, yeah. That's
Right,
brilliant.
right. I mean, I think, you can see it in political parties. You can see it in anything. I mean, people have created this narrative that, they are very beholden to, but, they just don't want to hear the contrary information. But, inevitably it's you've got your bubble, but let's talk about what they would say and let's talk about what the judge might think about that. So there's the negotiation phase, but then there's that final phase of like, we pretty much have a deal, but let's put it on paper.
Right.
Well, that begs a question I got to ask you
That's
because
no fun.
I am
It gets nitpicky.
I'm a neophyte mediator compared to you because you've been
This is
doing
true.
this.
You're just
This is true,
You're just a
but-
neophyte.
Yeah, you've been
I
using
think
that
we're
word all
good
day.
period.
I
a good word.
I
It's
his
find
word of the day.
myself asking myself at the very beginning
Self?
of the day. Yes, I say to myself at the beginning of the day of mediation, how much time in hours or minutes am I going to dedicate to just listening to people and smiling and nodding
And that's a
before
good question.
before I turn the corner and go, okay,
Now it's time to work.
let's
Yeah.
talk about, can you prove this up? Is it realistic?
Right.
How much time do you dedicate to that?
Well, I will say that it's probably something that anybody doing it would do differently.
Yeah.
And you have got to get some. I mean, this is sort of people's day in court in a sense.
Yeah.
because it's a process,
Absolutely.
and people want to be heard, and they want, as a mediator, they want you.
Right.
Lewis, I need you to hear
And I need-
my side of the story. I need
Every
you to
part.
hear.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes that takes a minute, and you
Right.
almost have to hear that before, like Steve says, you get down to work.
Right.
Well, and I think you have to kind of. I imagine it's what judges kind of have to do, which is. You kind of have to go, I do hear that, but do you want me to act like that's the end-all, be-all? Now you
Right.
win the case?
Right.
I'm not going to give you that because I don't want to disappoint you later. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Now, my vision for this interview,
Yeah.
which is this is our first mediator interview. My vision,
Superhero mediator, yeah.
superhero mediator. My vision for this is that we have a whole series, in a subfolder of mediators, superhero mediators. Lewis, of course, is the first one, and quite appropriately so.
Do you think we'll ever have any non-superhero mediators?
No, definitely not.
Non-superhero
Yeah, right.
mediator.
Definitely
After the
not.
first few, it's sort of like
all
we go down
downhill
another
from there.
tier.
Well, we get
They're
Danny.
all
We'll get
superhero.
Danny Nash in on you.
Okay.
I love Danny. No, but we'll get a series of mediators, and we'll basically have the same interview with all of you
Yeah.
to get a different feel for the same topic,
Yeah.
and then we'll put it out there, and people can listen, and they're like, I like this mediator, that mediator. But what's the funniest thing that you've ever seen happen at a mediation?
I am not supposed to talk about these sort of things.
Well, don't
I
give
mean,
names.
the craziest things I've seen lawyers almost get physical with each other. That was
really?
sort of,
Whoa.
yeah.
Whoa. Were you
Yes,
the
yes.
mediator in that case downtown where the guy got mad, the party got mad and went inside and ripped like the urinal off the stall in the men's room? You know
No.
what case I'm
The
talking about?
urinal
No.
off the stall.
Off the wall. Off the
I was
wall.
like,
in the
what?
men's room.
I wasn't part of that.
You're aware of that one, though, right?
I'm not even aware of that.
I'm not
And
aware
it just
either.
seems like a strange target.
Yeah,
know.
What did the urinal do?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Poor urinal.
Right.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
what's the strangest thing you've seen?
Well, I thought that fighting was sort of crazy.
Yeah.
You know.
I want you to name names, but
When the
you won't.
lawyers?
I just absolutely
No.
won't.
Damn.
The lawyers.
Yeah.
Like Jerry Springer.
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
Like-
I mean, it was sort of surprising.
So
to
that's
me.
the best you got.
You know,
Did you,
and
wait,
one-
wait,
and
wait.
one of them-
So did you have to break it up? I mean, I want to know more.
Right. Did you mediate the
Did you-
lawyers
did
at
you
that
do-
point?
Right. Did you have to like get in between them and like
Well,
push them
I
apart?
mean, that's a
Guys,
sort
guys,
of
relax.
that's its own subtopic, which is sometimes, it's the parties versus the parties.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's kind of the lawyers versus the lawyers.
Sure.
Oh, you mean ego
Sometimes-
versus ego?
Yeah, and sometimes it's the lawyer versus the party.
Yeah.
Interesting.
yeah.
Interesting. So you kind of gotta okay.
You know.
Maneuver.
Which personalities am I mediating?
Yeah, right.
Interesting.
And I think it's sort of useful to share that to some extent. It's like,
Sure.
Patty, in the other room, the lawyer actually kind of agrees with you, I think, but
Yeah.
that party is not going to go there.
Tell me,
You know.
tell me this, Louis, and we talked about this in episode 14, kind of our experiences with mediation. And I've had two that I can think of, mediations, where we identified early on that the attorney in the other room was the impediment.
Yeah.
Now, I was able to, and I talked to my client and talked to the mediator, and the mediator was able, because both sides agree, because you can't do this unless both sides agree, that the parties spoke to the mediator, and we were able to settle the case. Have you ever had a situation like that?
I feel like there's something approaching that fairly commonly. Now, I wouldn't
that's
put the
unfortunate.
parties
Yeah, no
together
kidding.
because I think when you put the parties together, you get these sort of unworkable solutions that then a lawyer is almost obligated to go like,
Sure.
well, we're not doing that, but
But you
thank
did-
you for making the contact and for
You
kind
do
of
see it often where the lawyer or both lawyers can
absolutely.
be an impediment.
absolutely. And I think that there's a philosophical thing here a little bit. We really are taught in law school that we're supposed to be fanatical,
Zealous advocate.
zealous
Yes,
advocates.
zealous advocates.
And yet I think most people really just kind of go, just don't let me get run over. I want to do what's fair and be done with this.
Most
You know.
people? Have you met my clients? Are you kidding?
Well, right, but then that's
Okay,
right because
okay.
you're ready to go to bat and go to
Well,
jury trial and all that
you know,
stuff.
You're what you want to put out there into the universe is attorneys do better.
I would, yeah, I would like every lawyer to have a sit down with their client and say, is this all about getting a pound of flesh, or is this about a practical resolution?
Yeah.
Sure.
If your goal is a pound of flesh, I get it. There are those situations, and
It's
by all
usually
means, let's do that.
It's usually a pound of flesh unless they do this for me. That's what I hear a lot. Yeah.
Right? But that's really just a fancier way of saying I'd like a pound of flesh.
Sure.
Well, here's my commentary. Here's my commentary about you.
Yeah.
As I'm talking about Louis Tesser as if Louis Tesser
Brace
isn't
yourself.
here.
Yeah.
The
Here we
court
go.
refers to lawyers as officers of the court,
Right.
which is important. That means we're not just in court to advocate zealously for our clients and win at all costs. We also have to adhere to certain rules of procedure and ethics. And we are officers of the court. I think a mediator is a super officer of the court
Super officer.
because
It's
The word of the day.
Wow.
because the mediator is so vital in settling probably 3 out of 4 cases and clearing up these enormous dockets that like you have down in Fulton County. So the mediator really is a vital officer of the court. Even if it's a private mediator like you who's paid well for your service, it's a super officer of the court. And the other thing I like about Louis Tesser is, I know you said earlier you're the best mediator, but if somebody calls me and says, are you the best attorney? My answer is going to be, I strive to be never the best attorney, but in the band of the best attorneys. That's what I strive to be, and I hope that some days I'm in that band.
I didn't know you wanted to be in a band.
With a little bit
Remember
of...
the guitar playing?
Oh, my God.
Ben?
Oh, my God. It's so difficult. I hate all of you, except for No, but the point being is that there's a little bit of humility here that should come in. I strive to be the best I can be, and I hope I'm in the best. And I think Louis would say that if he wasn't, all nervous like he is now.
So egotistical.
Yeah. So tell me this. What's the coolest thing you've ever seen me do?
Oh,
when
boy.
you were a mediator?
Now it's the
That's
Steve
just
show.
a daily.
That's-
That's just a daily.
No, be
It's a daily
serious.
question
Be
because I mean,
serious.
when
What's
do
Steve
I
doing
see
today?
you that you're not doing something just
Well, he keeps
superlative
posting on
and
Facebook every day.
impressive, uniquely? It's like one-upping yourself.
Well, my
like,
poker playing skills weren't that impressive last night. You cleaned me out.
That's-
you
that's-
and Doug Weinstein. Yeah,
That's true.
Jackass.
All right.
Got lucky
All
there.
All right,
Right,
hold on.
ladies.
I have a serious question.
Yes.
Serious.
All right,
I
last
would
question,
love
and we're
a
wrapping
serious
up.
question.
Well, I mean, kind of a serious question.
Okay.
So,
Oh, okay.
so is our office, in fact, your favorite place to mediate?
You know what? I think I will go there. Yeah.
Really?
Absolutely.
All right. Tell me
Well
why.
done.
It is
Why?
comfortable. You don't have the mediation rooms right next to each other where you're sort of like,
Yeah.
I think they can almost hear us here. and the parties just feel the heat off each other's
Yes. They can feel
auras
like the
or
energy,
something. It's
yeah.
like, you want a little separation, but this is just a beautiful building. It's while I'm walking between people, I usually know a bunch of people that just kind of
Get a little
cool.
chit chat on the way.
Get a little chit chat in.
Do we feed you well?
The absolute best men's bathroom, which I mean,
Wow.
that's
All
that
right.
sounds weird, but it is truly a cool thing. It's full of all this
a
like
fun
Star
house.
Wars stuff. And,
Yeah, it's like a fun house.
It is, it's just a mellow.
Food's
It's
good.
a cool
we
gig.
feed you okay?
Yeah. Steve will eventually come in and kind of go, here's
Derail.
where you got to
Derail
settle
the
this
process.
case.
Everything.
No, I mean, to his great credit, I mean, that last thing with Tuscan,
Yeah.
I do not believe that would have settled without you coming in there and
Well,
kind of going,
I
yeah,
appreciate
guy.
that. I appreciate
Yeah.
it. But sometimes I will walk into Lewis as a mediator and I'll go, Lewis, my client's being difficult. I want you to take 30, 45 minutes, and then I want you to turn the corner and say, look, dude. And
Yeah.
that's what I need you to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think a lot of the first parts of mediation, you're listening and you're kind of uncritical, but that's you gathering some political capital
Yeah.
and you gathering some concept of what's going on.
Right. Because you can't just walk in immediately and start saying, no,
Right.
you're wrong.
Right.
You
Now,
know.
I cannot.
Right.
I will tell you there is somebody I know that can.
Really?
Yes.
Well, you'll have to, if you don't feel comfortable
I
saying
will.
it.
I will name names.
Name
Go
it.
right ahead.
Linda Gettle.
I was going to
Oh,
say
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Linda Gettle's.
So Linda Gettle don't play.
No.
Linda Gettle just kind of goes, give me the 5 minutes, and you go, here it is, and shouldn't we win? And she goes, no,
No.
here's what you're doing. And your 20 minutes are up, and that's
And
what you're doing. You
she'll-
can write
and
it up.
Yeah.
And there are people in North Georgia that have mediated 50 times and never used anybody but her. So
Yeah.
Well,
she's
we need
just
to
kind
get-
of like, I don't, I
We
We
should
gotta
get
get her
Linda.
here.
Yeah, we'll
understand.
get Linda in for our
Yeah.
We got to get her
series.
here.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
listen, you are the first mediator in what I envision to be a,
Superhero.
a series of
Right.
super. We're going to get all these super
Please.
mediators, and then we'll get Danny Najar at the end.
Well-
and super mediators, and you're the lead off.
Okay.
Thank you
Well,
for joining us.
I'm
for
delighted
being
to have
here,
done
Louis.
so. Always
All
good to
right.
see you guys.
Hey, Lawyers Without Billboards, Shewmaker
out.
and Lewis with Louis Tesser. Peace out.
Peace out.
That's it for this episode of Lawyers Without Billboards. If you found this episode helpful, make sure to follow and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. For more resources or to get in touch with us, visit shewmakerandlewis.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.